start, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's some, again, look, it's getting to the business end of the season now. Obviously, the tough game for Hull away at Arsenal first game. But you look at Liverpool-Tottenham, that's probably the game of the weekend. Liverpool not in the best of form, Tottenham in great form. And can Tottenham go to Anfield and cement their place in second position?
Yeah, games affecting top and bottom of the table. We'll talk about Swansea, Leicester later in the show. We'll also have a look at Arsenal and Hull. But let's have a look at the Liverpool-Spurs, because this is an intriguing one right now. Liverpool in poor form, Tottenham in very good form. At the moment, probably Tottenham look the most likely to catch Chelsea at the top of the table, don't they?
Well, you could arguably say it's probably the most settled team in the Premier League, Spurs. You know what you're going to get from them. The players know the positions that Pochettino play. The worry for Liverpool is the form that they're in. They're actually, I don't know what's happened to them there. You can't say that they've played too many games. You can't say it's fatigue because they've had no European football. I just think it's an accumulation of probably the style in which Klopp wants them to play, and the fact that they're suffering a lot from the fact, and we've said it all season, central defence, goalkeeper, they're just not good enough.
And yet everyone said Coutinho and Mane come back into the team and they'll be fine, and yet they got beat against Hull.
And actually that side of their game, which they've relied heavily on, goal scoring, attacking play, they're actually suffering at the moment. They can't score goals and they don't look like creating chances. When they get chances, they don't like putting them away. And the performance last weekend against Hull, I think Klopp said after the game, was probably the poorest of the season.
Well, let's have a look at some of that then from the game against Hull. This is the average formation, first of all. Anything jump out at you initially?
Well, I mean, you go away from home and Jurgen Klopp picked Lucas Leiva at centre-back. You think to yourself, that is a brave move. Someone that's not the quickest. Maybe he thinks we're going to control the play today against this Hull team. But I'd watch a lot of Hull.
Hence he's quite deep.
Hence he's
deeper
quite
than
deep.
the rest.
Fullbacks normally, you know, you think of Liverpool fullbacks, they do like to get forward. Klein and Milner. So that's no surprise, really. I mean, the biggest surprise is the two in midfield. I think Chan and Henderson, I think he's got a problem with them two. Can they play together? It doesn't look like they can.
Yeah, these two in midfield, I mean, they're doing the same job effectively, aren't they? And particularly away at home to a side that are deep. You're going to have lots of the ball. Do you need to have two holding midfield players like that?
No, I don't think you do. And I think the strength of Liverpool this season has been, look, Henderson's always played in that number 6 position. It's a new position for him. But they've had Wijnaldum and they've had Lallana or Coutinho on the other side. So they've had two offensive players in the attacking midfield positions. Now it's Chan and Henderson. It just looks like they're trying to do the same job.
Why do you think the record is so poor against teams in, say, the bottom half of the table compared to the top? He's got a good record against teams in the top 6, and yet the games he's lost to Burnley, he's lost to Swansea, he's lost to Bournemouth, and he's now lost to Hull.
Well, I think it's because when he plays against them teams have almost got the same formula. They play deep, they sit in tight, they have to make Liverpool try and force the issue, and then they hit them on the counter-attack. And that's what we've seen from all the defeats that they've had against those teams this season, where the teams have just sat deep. They said, right, you have to come and beat us. They don't, and we'll just hit you on the counter-attack, because we know that there'll be spaces and opportunities.
And that's when you need more creativity, isn't it? In that centre of the pitch, from where, say, Chan and Henderson are playing, you need a bit more on the ball, don't you?
They do, and I mean, this is something that we've picked up straight away. When Firmino gets the ball there, you would think straight away, that's Firmino. You would think straight away, and we keep reverting back to the end of the season. You know, we keep reverting back to what they did at the start of the season. He would have turned and be really positive. And there's Coutinho there. I think Coutinho would have been in there.
Yeah.
And I think Mane would have been there. And Mane's actually in this position there. Yeah. I think he would have been further up the field. Yeah. And it was almost like the red arrows.
You do, you had everyone going, didn't you? Lallana, you had them all going.
Everyone. I mean, the amount of times that we saw this, Wijnaldum chasing on.
Is that a lack of confidence then?
I think it is a lack of confidence. I think it's got to the point now where they're almost playing without confidence, a little bit too cautious. We just take it on here and we'll highlight Henderson. Now, it comes to Henderson there, and I'm thinking to myself, where do I want this ball playing? I want that ball playing straight there, straight into Coutinho.
Well, he wants it as well. I mean, Coutinho's making the run for him, isn't he?
He is. That ball has got to go straight into Coutinho, and then as soon as Coutinho gets it, look, he's onto the back four. He's onto the back four, creating 1v1s
against El Abdeloui. Yeah,
Ranocchi, he doesn't, and this is what's changed for Liverpool through the lack of confidence. Look, square pass.
It's fair to say Henderson and Chan are probably both safer players anyway, aren't they, in terms of their passing?
They are safer players, but I think Jordan Henderson can play that pass.
Yeah, he can play it.
I've worked with him. I think when he's full of confidence, I think he can play that pass. Chan the same. When Chan gets the ball now, you think to yourself, turn.
First touch backwards.
Plays it backwards. Now all of a sudden, you look at Hull City. Look at the makeup of Hull City. Look, everybody, good positions to defend, no way through. And that is why Liverpool, I think, are struggling, because they've now been negative in the passing, and then they've gone back to the centre-backs, and when it goes back to the centre-backs, it's impossible for Lucas in this situation to play forward, and Hull are well set. This is the two central midfield players.
Now, again, they're almost on top of each other, aren't they? They're almost doing the same thing, aren't they?
They are. I mean, this is Chan here.
Well, can we just take that back slightly? Because he has an opportunity, I think, when he first has the ball here. When he's picked this ball up, you can see... I'm just going to highlight these two here. Look at James Milner and look at Philippe Coutinho. They're both absolutely screaming for the ball. The way Hull played and the way Marco Silva's got them playing, he's got them organised, he's got them tight, and they're moving across the pitch, aren't they, as a unit? Which means the big switch is on.
It's always on the opposite side.
It's always on.
It used to happen with United all the time. And what happens is, just as
play it. So why isn't he playing? He's not even. He's not even looked.
He's only looking that way.
He's not seen these passes.
He's not even thinking, what's over this side here? He's not, because...
And they've still got their hands in the air. They're still screaming for it.
And there's no pressure on the ball. So, Chan, we'll just take it forward a little bit more. When the ball goes into the full-back there now, if we just...
Now he has a little look over his shoulder. Now he's had a little look, hasn't he? So there's his vision. That he's now having a little look at this way. What's his next pass?
Exactly. But you just look at the Hull City. Hull City, look how narrow they are. That is Hull City's team there. And the space is absolutely incredible over this space of the pitch. And what happens is, when the ball comes back into Emre Can now, you're thinking to yourself, right, when I used to play for United, we used to play against teams like this all the time, and the rule was, you might not win it in the first 30, 40 minutes, even 60 minutes, but if you keep playing the ball from side to side...
You're tiring the opposition, aren't you?
You're tiring them from side to side. So Chan gets the ball now, you're thinking to yourself, look, either get this ball out here, and then straight into Coutinho, and then the Hull City players then have to all shuffle across.
It's hard work for them.
It's hard work, and after 60 minutes, your legs are dead, and you can't do it no more.
Well, I mean, look, if he doesn't play it first time, he's got the option, hasn't he, of using Lucas. So he could play Lucas the ball, and he could do it first time as well, couldn't he? And bang it into James Milner, and then they're out.
Me and you have played in that position. Sometimes you get the ball there and you think to yourself, I don't quite fancy that diagonal, but you play it quickly to Lucas and you get it out to James Milner. You still play with a little bit of speed. You just look at the slowness in which Liverpool pass it. Chan into Lucas.
As a bang it. See again into Jordan Henderson now.
Into Jordan Henderson.
He doesn't need to be there, does he?
I mean, I think Jordan Henderson should be up here, waiting for the pass that's coming from James Milner. They get the ball eventually out to the left, which is slower than what you think. And they've got it out slowly, but still, look at the space here.
And there's still space.
There's still space.
Even though they've done it slowly.
And the centre-forward can still run in behind. So even though they've played slowly, they can still get space in behind the whole...
Imagine the space if they'd done it quickly.
Imagine the space if they did it quickly. It's 2v2. It could be 2v1.
He does well, Coutinho, doesn't he?
He does do well. But Hull get back into shape. And then now, look at this. I mean, this absolutely infuriates me. You've got your two central midfield players playing directly in front of each other. It is an absolute scandal, because what should happen is that one should be here. We'll just deselect. And we'll play there. One should be here, and one should be there, ready
the pitch
to stop the counter-attack and to back support. But look what happens. Hull City win the ball.
And all of a sudden they're out.
Now, this is where
he's late to react as well, isn't he?
Chan's late to react, and it ends up Adam Lallana chasing back. And now, Hull are on the attack. And from being in a perfect position, Hull should score.
Yeah. Touch runs away from him. Mignolet actually does well, doesn't he?
Hull should score from being in a great position, just because of the poor positions of Emre Can.
James Milner as well at left back. What do you think?
Well, I think he's had a really good season. I think he's had to do a job there for his team.
Yeah.
Albert Moreno obviously made a lot of mistakes. Klopp lost a little bit of confidence in him. He's gone to left back. I think actually he's been probably one of the most consistent Liverpool players. But there are times when I think him being a right-footed left back has hindered his team.
I mean, you want a left back though. If you're going for the title at left back, a left-footed player, don't you? I mean, you're a right-footed player. You've played left back.
I played left back for a lot of times for Manchester United, but the advantage that I had every time I played left back, I had Lee Sharp, Ryan Giggs, Jesper Blomqvist always outside me. So the emphasis wasn't on me to get wide and to put the ball into the box. I always had a winger outside me to provide the width.
And that's not the case in this Liverpool team, is it? Because you've got the likes of Coutinho, we'll highlight him. This looks like it's Coutinho here. He wants to come inside, which leaves the space, doesn't it, generally, for the fullback to run around the outside and deliver balls into the box. But with James Milner, he wants to come back on his right foot all the time. His instinct is to get back on that right foot, isn't it?
Exactly. And you look on the right-hand side. That is Klein on the right-hand side. He's got nobody in front of him. So he has to be the winger on the right-hand side.
They are the wingers. The two fullbacks are the wingers.
The two fullbacks are the wingers in the Jurgen Klopp system because, look, Mane comes inside and Lallana comes inside, so the fullbacks have to provide the width.
Yeah, I mean, fairness. Look, James Milner's come back on his right foot again, and he does try that. He does try that pass. The one we talked about. We said, play that pass. Be brave, try it, and he does try it. Just slightly gets it wrong, doesn't he? And Hull are able to
look. He's had a good season. He's had a good season. He's never let them down. You've never seen him play against a winger and actually get beat.
Again, we'll highlight him again. This is him. If you're a left-footed player, what would you do when you get the ball?
Well, you know, if you're looking at Marcus Alonso or a Monreal, you'd think to yourself straight away, you'd open up your body and you'd be probably looking to maybe put that ball into the box with your left foot. First touch out your body with your left foot and then try and bend it in behind. But I think when you're a right-footed, I've been in this situation a lot of times, you lack confidence in going with your left foot. You come inside and everything, and that's why it was so easy for Hull to defend.
He's always coming back into bodies, isn't he? This is now Moreno's actually come on now because I think Jurgen Klopp recognised that they were having so much of the ball down that left-hand side. Milner had so much time and space. His quality into the ball with his left foot wasn't good enough. He wanted a left footer on, so Moreno came on. But this is the goal that Hull City scored. And this is a little bit what you're talking about with Mignolet in goal, Milner at left back, and Lucas, we'll highlight him, at centre back, who's a centre midfield player, effectively, isn't he? Playing at centre back. It's not his position, let's be fair. But again, Hull in good shape, win the ball back.
It's amazing.
How do they score from here?
Hull City score from that position. And look, we've talked about how deep Lucas is, and we'll circle Lucas there.
Well, we saw him at the start, didn't we? The average position, and he was the deepest one.
He was very deep.
Because he's worried of pace behind him, isn't he?
The centre-forward is looking to make that run in behind, so we should see that. But as a midfield player, you know full well when you're playing midfield, you've got 4 defenders behind you. So sometimes when somebody makes a run, you think, defender's going to get that. And that's exactly what happened here with Lucas.
But he has been playing centre-half this season. Jurgen Klopp's not going to play him centre midfield this season.
He has, but he's played for 15 years as a midfield player. Just look at his body shape now. Just
closed off.
The run is made there by Niasse, but his shoulders are square. He's not seeing the run behind because he thinks, he's thinking like a midfield player. He's not thinking like a centre-back. And the minute the ball goes in behind, Matip is absolutely out the game. And at this moment then now, just take it back a touch. I think the goalkeeper was so poor. Because at that moment now, Matic is back. He
makes himself smaller.
If Mignolet stays a little bit deeper, Niasse's got a decision to make because he knows the defender's coming back. He's got to hit the ball so hard. He doesn't. He almost trickles into net because Mignolet makes it easy for him, and it's a real poor afternoon for Jurgen Klopp, and his team are struggling.
Yeah, and Jurgen Klopp's coming in for a bit of criticism, isn't he? He's had a bit of a honeymoon period at Liverpool. They've had a good spell, haven't they? And he's taken the plaudits, but right now it's a difficult time for him, isn't it? He's got to try and arrest this slide.
Well, he's suffering, and I think he's suffering because one, he's got a really good 11. And I think his bench isn't good enough. And I think he should have strengthened in January. I think that was poor from him. Obviously, Mane coming back has not helped at the moment. There just looks to be a flatness about his performance. You just wonder whether they've worked too hard in training.
I was going to ask that. We'll talk about benches a little bit later on. But Jurgen Klopp's teams, gegenpressing, everyone says, doesn't it? It gets in people's faces. They work incredibly hard. They run further than the opposition.
Yeah.
Are they burnt out right now, do you think?
Well, if you remember in Pochettino's first couple of seasons, even last season at Spurs, it got to this point and his teams dipped badly. They went on bad runs. You look at the Liverpool run at the moment, that they're actually showing a run at the moment that you would think from a relegation side. That could be Sunderland, the amount of losses that they receive. So
five of them cup competitions, but yeah, I know, I take on board. I mean, they haven't won in 5 in the league, have they?
No, but even if you're losing a cup competition, it's another dent in the confidence. They're playing like a team that's lacking confidence. They're playing like a mid-table team at the moment, and I think they need to erase it very quickly because they'll find themselves out the top 4.
We've picked out some games this calendar year where they've conceded. I mean, they've conceded a lot of poor goals as well, haven't they?
Yeah, I think their bad form started in this actual game against Sunderland. I thought they were sloppy.
Right.
It was the second game in 48 hours. Jurgen Klopp wasn't happy. They went up there. Yes, they did draw the game, but I think it was the start of the mental block for them. They conceded a late goal against United. All these are mistakes, defensive mistakes, poor defending from the corner, not marking. Keeper out the game again. This again, poor defending from Klavan, easy finish from Sigurdsson.
What do you make of the recruitment from Jurgen Klopp defensively? I'm talking about goalkeeper. So Karius has come in to try and push Mignolet. Started the season, it hasn't worked. Klavan, you mentioned there at centre back. Matip at centre back. Is that good enough to win a title?
It's not good enough to finish in the top 4. I actually think Karius is the better keeper out of Mignolet and Karius, although I think it was the right decision to pull him out and let him have a breather. I think the centre-back partnership is wrong. Matip and Klavan are not good enough to partner Lovren. And I think if you want to win a league title, you've got to have better players than that. And to play Lucas Leiva at centre-back in a Premier League game shows they are struggling for defenders.
Yeah, they certainly are. And they're struggling for results. Opposite to that, Tottenham Hotspur. Everyone keeps saying that a team's got to go on a run to try and catch Chelsea. Well, if we look at Tottenham's last 10 in the Premier League, they're on a run. Their last defeat came against Man United, so they're 9 unbeaten, having won 7 and drawn 2 of them.
And a brilliant draw against Man City as well.
2-0 down in that game.
I think the draw up at Sunderland was a real disappointment for them. But Tottenham, for me, are the only team at the moment that look like challenging. Chelsea at the top of the league. They're a settled team. They know what they're doing. They know the structure. They know the performances. They know the positions. And what the problem they've got is if they get injuries. They rely a lot on Harry Kane.
Yeah.
They rely a lot on his goals.
They've got a couple at the back at the moment, haven't they? Danny Rose,
Vertonghen's injured, yeah, but I think they're coming back. It's up front where I think they'll suffer. Whether they've got enough attacking flair to win a Football League, I'm not so sure.
What about the experience from last season? Because they came so close, didn't they, last year in trying to push Chelsea, push Leicester City for the title. Will that help them this year trying to catch Chelsea?
It will. I think what it'll do, I think he's changed his training philosophy. I think he's just pulled back a little bit in terms of the intensity of his training because he knows that this is a marathon, this Premier League, and he knows when he gets to February, March, April, you need to be in top shape. And I think looking at Tottenham now, it looks like their players look fresh, they look full of confidence, they look like they're enjoying the challenge, unlike Liverpool and Arsenal. Absolutely.
What about the strength in depth of Tottenham? Have they got the depth to perhaps challenge Chelsea? I mean, this is Tottenham's bench when they played Chelsea against Chelsea's bench when they played Spurs. If you look at it, you'd probably you'd say Chelsea's bench is stronger, isn't it? It's better. I mean, if you're looking to make changes and change things, that you'd rather have Chelsea's bench, wouldn't you, than Spurs?
Well, I mean, you look at Chelsea's bench, league title winner, Willian league title winner, played in World Cups.
He was Player of the Year last year, Willian.
Player of the Year, Willian. And you look at the Tottenham bench, this is Tottenham's biggest problem. If Pochettino wants to make Tottenham into Premier League champions, then he's got to improve this bench. I mean, if you're drawing in a game at Sunderland and you're looking at your bench for inspiration, you don't see inspiration there for someone that can come on and win you a game. Like Fabregas can make a pass.
And yet they spent 30 million on Sissoko.
They did, but he's not going to win you a league title. Batshuayi can come on and you can throw it up to him. Willian can win you a league. Fabregas has already won leagues for his teams. Ivanovic you can throw him on and he can defend a set piece. Look, they've got league winners on the bench. Spurs haven't, but that's something that a young team can and should develop. But that bench is the biggest weakness in Tottenham's armour.
These are the most used subs by both of those two sides. So Harry Winks has come on 14 times for Spurs. Look, I think he's a good player. Harry Winks.
Good player.
But again, is he going to come on and change a game? Whereas, look at Chelsea, you've got Batshuayi, most of those last couple of minutes for Diego Costa, so perhaps a little bit distorted 15. But he's a striker. Cesc Fabregas, that quality to come on and do things. Willian, they've got players there who are going to come on and make a difference.
But you look at Vincent Janssen, who's had a real disappointing season, 17 million. You're thinking if there's an injury to Harry Kane like we spoke about before, and Janssen is the backup, then Janssen, I think, if you asked any of the top half of the table, you think, would Janssen get into your team? You'd probably say no, you'd struggle. And that's why Spurs have struggled when Harry Kane's been out.
I suppose you're right. I mean, if Costa was to get injured, they played Hazard up top, ahead of Batshuayi, actually. They've still got a £30 million striker.
And they've still got him on the bench. You look at all the top six, they've all got a striker on the pitch, but they've got strikers in reserve as well.
This is Vincent Janssen, some of the chances that he's had this season. I mean, he has struggled in front of goal, hasn't he?
Oh, he's struggled. I mean,
£17 million as well.
Yeah, and he scored goals in Dutch football, but he just looks like he just lacks that little bit of mobility, a little bit of speed. And like I said, I go back to the top six. If Giroud doesn't play for Arsenal, Sanchez plays, Batshuayi for Costa. Tottenham don't have that. If Ibra doesn't play, it's Rashford or Martial.
Do you think this is a bedding-in period for him or not? Or do you think he'll get better? Do you think he'll improve?
No, I don't see him actually improving. Look, I think he's a brilliant team player. He works hard for the team.
Son? What about Son? I mean, I'm a fan of Son.
Yeah.
Probably misses too many chances. I think he hits that near post one a lot as well. He doesn't go across goal enough for me.
He gets into brilliant positions. Like, I watched this game at the weekend.
Near post.
He was fantastic. But the final pass or the final shot always seems to let him down. But I think he's someone that you wouldn't class as a centre forward. He plays probably on either side of a wing. And whenever there's a big game coming up, Pochettino trusts him to play because of his attitude, his work ethic, and the fact that he always helps the team.
We're hoping there's going to be a title race.
Hoping.
Chelsea are obviously way ahead at the moment. Next 10 fixtures for both of these sides. Do you see room for Tottenham to catch Chelsea here?
I think it's going to be very difficult. When we look at this graphic, you think to yourself, well, they could struggle against Man City and Man United, but that's 5 games away, 6 games away. So they actually need some of the teams in and around them and below them to actually help. Burnley away is a tough game. I think they've only had 1 defeat at home all season. Formidable at Turf Moor. Swansea, can they go to Stamford Bridge and cause an upset like they did at Anfield? But I think it's too late if they wait for Man City and Man United, because Spurs' games, you think Spurs have got 5 home, 5 away. They have to win every single one of those games, not draw, every single one, and and Chelsea have to slip up 3 times. You just can't see it happening. Okay, quickly then, give me a quick prediction then for this game. Liverpool versus Spurs, the 5:30 kickoff on Saturday. Which way do you see it going? I mean, can you see Liverpool fighting their way back into that top 4 contention as well? Well, they've had a free week, so you'd have thought that he's given them a couple of days off, got a little bit of energy back, worked on the system, but they're coming up against a real informed side, a side actually that hasn't done well at Anfield recently. But I just think that the fragileness of the Liverpool back 4, particularly them 2 centre backs, you look at Lucas, you look at Matip, you think Kane and Ali will be licking their lips thinking, I can't wait to get to Anfield at the weekend. There's goals for us in this game. And obviously with the goalkeeping situation, you think there's always going to be a slip up there. So I actually fancy Tottenham in this game. Interesting. It's going to be a good game though. Liverpool versus Spurs, 5:30 Saturday. Time for a break now. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Arsenal. Olivier Giroud came off the bench to score in Arsenal's last game against Chelsea, taking his substitute goal tally to 4 in the Premier League this season. There's only 2 other players for Arsenal have scored 4 goals from the subs bench in a Premier League season. Can you guess them?